Good evening.
Good evening to you too.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well. And you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So, how do you pronounce your name?
My name is Virtual Gunja.
Gunja. Okay. Okay. Let's start by you talking about a little bit about yourself.
So if I like something, I am very passionate about it. I'll be very passionate about anything I like, and I will do it very well, and I'll try to do it as diligently as possible. I can quickly learn, and I can observe many things very quickly if I needed to. And small details are usually my forte in situations like this. I absolutely love art and science, and I'm quite good at mathematics.
Okay.
I also have a bit of a background in music.
Mm-hmm. What kind of music?
South Indian and Western. I've done both to an extent. I've learned South Indian classical music for about 6 years, and I've done Western music since I was in middle school, which is probably now about 7 years.
Mm-hmm. What kind of music do you do?
I usually am in choir, and I usually sing for both Carnatic music and of course Western music. I enjoy singing, and I also have done a bit of piano, which is not that much because I never did well at piano, but I still did it for a while. I also did bass guitar for about 2 years in middle school.
Mm-hmm. As part of the band?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What else?
I don't really mind criticism. I'll take any criticism you have, and I will put it to use immediately, or as quickly as possible. If there's something that you need me to do, I will do it. And I also do not like to get stuck up on one large task, and I usually like to just jump around and help everyone, and usually just stay like doing my own thing as well as that.
You realize that projects are extremely long, and
Yeah.
you have to stay on it.
Yeah, but I usually like to flit around between the different aspects of a project, just like keeping myself like busy, like with, okay, so there's something here, okay, let's go here, let's do it.
That comes only after you gain a lot of experience. Until that point, you need to be on a project for a very long period of time.
I know, but I'm not saying I'm playing between projects, I'm playing between parts of a project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is parts of projects that are extremely time consuming.
Got it.
So you have to learn to stay on projects.
Okay.
Okay. What else have you done in your life?
Well, I have some experience with Arduino and the C++ coding language. I have experimented and minimized the amount of code required for some of the basic projects, and have also worked on some of the more advanced projects, and have put together the electronic and the code-based coding for those, and try to minimize it as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. What other activities do you have?
Well, I do martial arts, and I've been doing so for about 12 years now. I started when I was 6, and I'm currently at the last level you can get to before having hit black belt. And in order to get to black belt, you have to like train several times a week, which I have not had enough time to sign up for yet. And I'll be starting training for several times a week in another couple of weeks after today.
Okay. What are reading buddies?
Reading Buddies is a program at the nearby library. It usually is like for teens who want to help little children like learn how to read.
Mm-hmm.
So it involves like a little kid like sort of like sitting there and having the big boy read to them for like the first little bit, and then the little kid will usually just start reading slowly afterward, and eventually it'll progress on until the little child can read like some higher level items.
Mm-hmm. What have you done as part of cross country?
I was part of cross country in grade 7 and also in grade 10 and 11.
Mhm.
Grade 12 didn't permit me due to the homework load.
Mm. Tell me a little bit about your C++ experience.
Well, it was mostly for the technical side of the Arduino, but I learned how to use delays and many of the parameters required in order to set up different Arduino examples
Mhm.
and many different Arduino systems. I've also attempted to make small robots or small wheeled contraptions that will charge at anything that opens my door, which honestly didn't work out that well, but I tried and I learned quite a lot from it.
What are your extracurricular activities?
So as I said, it's martial arts. I usually enjoy like just sitting around and like drawing manga in the Japanese style of art and Japanese style of like cartoons.
Mhm.
I usually watch anime, read manga, of which I have many authors which I'm fans of, or usually just read a book and just well, just do something else. Run around maybe go shoot a few hoops, maybe try to do a bit of basketball.
Mhm.
That's about my life.
Okay. Well, how did you do in all the math contests?
To be honest, I never really followed up on what my marks were, but I know I didn't place too well, but I know I placed at a pretty decent level.
Mm. What do you think are your strengths?
My strengths are definitely math, art, and science.
Mm-hmm.
But my weakness has to be social studies and sort of like a bit of communication, because I usually find myself at a loss of words or kind of like unable to explain certain things with the ways I do.
What do you see yourself doing in 5 years?
5 years from now,
You'll be 23. What do you see yourself doing?
I don't know. Maybe doing this. Maybe doing something else like
Doing
electronics.
this as in
Maybe doing this job. Maybe being an electronics engineer. Maybe getting into something architectural. Well, pretty much something that will sort of let me pursue both art, math, and science all at the same time. Because when electronics, I have to do the math and calculations for all the voltages and such. I have to do all the science behind the voltages. I have to do the art is more or less just for aesthetic purposes. For this job, I need the art for making everything look good, because otherwise you can't really sell it. I need the science for making sure all the physics works and stays on track. I need the math to actually give all the numbers and reasons. And as for architectural, I need art to actually make it look good, otherwise you can't sell a house or anything. I need the math for making sure the whole thing looks right and has the right things. And the science to make sure it doesn't come crashing down on your head eventually in a few days after it's being built.
Can you explain one project that you did on Arduino Uno in a little bit more detail?
So the little boss that charged at anything that opened my door, I set up a bit of a button like inside my door, so that whenever the door hit the doorstop, the little robot would be connected to it by a wire, and the signal would be sent to the little microprocessor in the Arduino on the robot through the code, and the robot would just charge straight forward. It wasn't a big robot; it was a tiny thing, but I also put a little speaker on it, so that whenever it moved a certain amount of distance, it would start playing a really loud sound. Honestly, I have scared quite a couple of my family members doing that. It was quite hilarious to see their faces.
Okay. What did you use for the door sensing switch?
For door sensing switch, I used a normally closed switch. So whenever it opened, the robot would sense that, hey, something's missing, and it would then just charge at the person because, well,
How big was the robot?
uh, about 6 inches long, and 4 inches wide, and about 5 inches tall. So it was a really small robot.
Oh.
It wasn't made to be smacked.
Did you start from scratch, or did you use code that already existed?
I had to start from scratch because, honestly, in order to get everything to move properly, there was no code on the Arduino website that or in the examples actually showed how to make a little rover bot that would charge upon getting a normally open switch or normally closed switch. And it had something on how to use a motor, but that was just an analog with like a potentiometer. So I was like, that will not help me in this project. So I had to just, so I sort of looked at how they made the motor move, and I just took that little motor movement for the code required just to make the motor move, and I just applied that to, well, everything that I needed.
How long did that project take?
The coding itself took about half an hour because, well, it was a little robot and I had to synchronize all the wheels, but it wasn't that difficult. Making the robot, though, was quite strenuous because, well, it's a little robot and I don't expect to really finish it all that quickly. So that took me about another 2 hours because of the small size. So about 2.5 hours to make the whole thing.
How did you test your product?
Well, I hooked it all up. I put the little switch by a doorstep, and then I just went ahead and opened the door. The robot's programmed not to go all the way and hit the person's feet, because if it did that, it would just shatter and break apart because it's tiny and not meant to really hit anything. The whole point of it was just to make noise to scare someone away.
How did you make it stop?
I just made sure I just had the motor after I had gone a certain distance, I made the motor so I would twist backwards suddenly, and the rear wheel would just stop moving forward and instead go backwards for a split second. And through that, the robot would stop its forward momentum and just jump backwards a bit, and it would like just stay there afterwards.
What did you use for making the noise?
I used a large speaker about this big. I forget the exact name of the speaker. I didn't really pay attention to it. I just needed a nice loud speaker. But yeah, I just hooked that up. I had to solder the whole thing together. But the chassis of the robot was just a small cardboard box a small wooden box which I made, upon which I put a speaker on top, and I just put 2 motors with 4 wheels and like 1 axle. It was a pretty simplistic design, but as you can guess, cutting everything to the right size was quite annoying.
Annoying?
Yeah.
Did you face any challenges when you did the project?
Challenges? Well, one thing I did consider a challenge was trying to get the robot to stop properly, because I had to make sure that the wheels spun backwards the exact right amount, so that the robot, rather than jumping backwards completely and moving backwards, would instead stop right on the dot and not move any further. And also, it was gauging the distance about how far the robot had to go, I did test this because I would just hold the switch, and in order to test that, I just hold the robot somewhere, I'd hold the switch, and I just click the switch, and the robot would move, and I just see how far it went.
What did you use for powering up the robot?
For powering up the robot, I actually plugged it into the wall. I have power source connected to it via the wall, and I had an extension cable just hooked up to the wall along with the robot. So when the robot moved, the extension cord would just fly out, and it just stop and just stay there. And I had to make sure the extension cord also wouldn't fully unwind. So yeah.
Have you played any video games?
Yeah, I played quite a few. I've played, Dead Space is one game I tried to play, but my computer lagged a lot back then, and it just couldn't finish it. I also attempted to play Battlefield 3, but my computer wouldn't permit me, so I was like, oh wait, Battlefield 4 came out. No one will play this game anymore, so I just didn't try to play. But those are just technical issues with my laptop. There weren't really anything with the game. I've played games such as Warframe, and I've also played Minecraft, Terraria. I also believe I played Plants vs Zombies. Gave me nightmares when I was 7 though. Poor
Okay.
game.
Do you have any questions for me?
Not really.
Okay. Do you know what this job is about?
Yep, I have to animate and create like characters, scenery, and just try to get all the physics right as well.
Okay.
I have to model the hitboxes and I have to make sure everything stays up there and I have to make sure all the details proper as well.
Good. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll talk later. Thank you.
Thank you.